Fairness is a concept taught to you as a child, repeated until it becomes a belief you cling to. But the world you grow into does not function on fairness. It functions on advantage, timing, leverage, and perception. Fairness is preached by those who benefit from your obedience, not by those who hold real power. To expect fairness in your daily life is to walk into a battlefield carrying flowers instead of armor. The belief that people will treat you kindly because you treat them kindly is a comforting illusion, a shield made of glass. It shatters the moment someone with sharper instincts decides they want what you have. Strategy, not fairness, is what separates those who rise from those who get stepped over. Fairness is a luxury because only those who already possess power can afford to be fair. When you are weak, fairness becomes a disadvantage. You rely on people's goodwill while they calculate their next steps. You hope they will reciprocate your loyalty while they analyze how far they can push your boundaries. This imbalance creates a cycle where you give more than you receive, trust more than you should, and expect more from people who owe you nothing. You think fairness creates harmony, but in reality, it creates vulnerability. It exposes your intentions, your expectations, your emotional desires. This transparency is not noble, it is dangerous. People do not attack the hidden, they attack the exposed. Strategy begins when you stop assuming that others operate with your moral code. Every person acts from self-interest, whether openly or discreetly. Even acts of kindness often serve a hidden purpose: validation, control, influence, or emotional leverage. When you understand this, you stop being surprised when someone betrays you, uses you, or leaves you behind. You stop viewing people's actions as moral decisions and start seeing them as strategic moves. This shift is essential because it removes your emotional blindness. You begin to anticipate behavior instead of react to it. You begin to protect yourself not through hope but through foresight. To survive and rise in any environment, work, relationships, friendships, or competition, you must treat fairness as optional and strategy as necessary. Strategy means understanding power dynamics and positioning yourself intelligently. It means observing the motives behind people's words, recognizing patterns in their behavior, and identifying what they value most. Humans are predictable once you stop listening to what they say and start focusing on what they consistently do. Strategy allows you to navigate conflicts, opportunities, and alliances with clarity. You are no longer the emotional player being moved. You become the one who moves pieces. The problem with fairness is that it demands consistency from others who may not care about your expectations. You give honesty, believing you will receive honesty. You give loyalty, assuming it will be matched. You give effort, thinking it guarantees appreciation, but fairness is not a law, it is a hope, and hope makes you passive. Hope makes you wait for good outcomes instead of creating them. Strategy, on the other hand, makes you proactive. It forces you to calculate every interaction, every decision, and every potential consequence. It teaches you that people don't give you what you deserve. They give you what you negotiate, what you demand, and what you position yourself to receive. When you stop expecting fairness, you stop feeling betrayed. Disappointment fades because you no longer rely on someone else's morality. You observe their nature and act accordingly. If someone is selfish, you limit your vulnerability. If someone is ambitious, you protect your advantage. If someone is manipulative, you control the narrative before they can shape it. Your power grows not because you are stronger physically, but because you become untouchable mentally. Emotional resistance gives you the ability to remain stable in situations that would normally break you. Stability is strength, and strength shifts the balance of power in your favor. Fairness does not build empires, calculation does. The person who wins is not the one who pleads for justice, but the one who understands human nature and uses it. Strategy is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is the ability to look at reality as it is, without illusions. When you remove illusions, you remove fear. You stop fearing people's judgment because you understand judgment is always biased. You stop fearing loss because you know loss is part of positioning. You stop fearing conflict because you recognize conflict is often the catalyst for change. Strategy gives you the discipline to act when others hesitate, the intelligence to remain silent when others speak too much, and the awareness to step back when others rush forward blindly. Fairness creates expectations. Strategy creates outcomes. Strategy teaches you that you do not need to be aggressive, loud, or dominant to win. You need to be observant, patient, and precise. Precision is power. When you strike, you do so at the right moment. When you speak, your words carry weight. When you act with purpose. This is how you thrive in environments where fairness is a myth and advantage is the truth. Strategy becomes survival when you accept that the world is not designed to reward those who behave perfectly, but those who behave wisely. You rise when you stop playing by rules that were created to limit you. You rise when you stop giving people unearned access to your intentions. You rise when you stop believing that fairness is guaranteed. Strength is often misunderstood. People imagine it as loudness, dominance, or physical presence. Others confuse it with kindness, patience, and emotional generosity. But true strength is none of these things. True strength is the ability to remain calm while having the capacity to strike. It is the discipline to hold your power without flaunting it, the control to act without being driven by emotion, and the clarity to choose ruthlessness when the situation demands it. Controlled ruthlessness is not about harming others. It is about refusing to let others harm you. Kindness has value, but kindness without boundaries becomes a weapon turned against you. When you are too giving, too understanding, too forgiving, people begin to interpret your softness as weakness. They start expecting you to tolerate disrespect. They assume you will always say yes. They feel confident you won't push back. This is why people treat the kindest individuals as disposable, not because kindness is wrong, but because kindness without strength has no weight. People respect what they fear losing, and when you are always available, always agreeable, always understanding, there is nothing for them to fear. Controlled ruthlessness means you stop allowing yourself to be a tool for others. It means you stop accepting situations that drain your power. It means you remove people who exploit your patience. It means you act decisively when your boundaries are violated. You don't explode, you don't shout, you don't beg, you simply make moves that cannot be misunderstood. Silence is one form of this ruthlessness. Walking away without warning is another. Cutting off the wrong people without announcing your reasons is another. None of these require cruelty, they require resolve. And resolve is the true mark of strength. People who rely solely on kindness are constantly disappointed because they expect their good intentions to protect them. But intentions mean nothing in a world driven by self-interest. People respond to what you enforce, not what you feel. If you do not enforce respect, you will not receive it. If you do not enforce boundaries, they will be violated. If you do not enforce consequences, you will be taken advantage of. Controlled ruthlessness is the mechanism through which you enforce your worth. It is the quiet force that reminds the world you are not someone who can be manipulated. Strength built on kindness alone collapses under pressure. Strength built on controlled ruthlessness grows stronger each time it is tested. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you grow. Every time you choose silence over emotional overreaction, you grow. Every time you choose to walk away instead of seeking validation, you grow. This kind of strength is rare because it requires you to detach from the need to be liked. It requires you to let go of the desire for approval. It requires you to remain firm even when others accuse you of being cold or selfish. Weak people cannot handle these accusations. Strong people accept them without trembling. Controlled ruthlessness is a strategic choice. It is a way of navigating people who want to drain your energy, waste your time, or weaken your resolve. You cannot be gentle with those who are careless with your value. You cannot be endlessly patient with those who exploit your silence. You cannot be open-hearted with those who see your heart as an entry point for manipulation. Strength means making calculated decisions that protect your mind, your time, and your future. Sometimes that decision is kindness, but often that decision is distance, firmness, or complete removal. Many people pretend to be strong by acting aggressive, loud, or intimidating, but aggression is not strength. It is insecurity disguised as power. Real strength is quiet. It does not need validation. It does not need to display itself. It sits beneath the surface, waiting. Controlled ruthlessness is the expression of that quiet strength. It shows itself not through chaos, but through precision. When you set a boundary, it stands. When you decide someone is no longer allowed in your life, the decision is final. When you choose not to engage, no amount of provocation changes your silence. This kind of self-control intimidates people far more than anger ever could. When you adopt controlled ruthlessness, people begin to treat you differently. They speak more carefully. They test your limits less. They respect your presence because they understand you are not dependent on anyone for validation. You become someone who cannot be guilted, manipulated, or emotionally cornered. You become someone who chooses relationships, not someone who chases them. You become someone who commands respect without demanding it. Strength rooted in self-control is unshakable. It survives betrayal, rejection, and conflict because it does not rely on external approval. It relies on internal power. Kindness without this foundation collapses the moment someone challenges it. But kindness built on inner ruthlessness becomes powerful. It becomes selective, meaningful, and respected. Controlled ruthlessness teaches you that protecting yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. It teaches you that sometimes you must be the one to end the conversation, end the connection, end the cycle. Not because you are cruel, but because you value your peace more than someone else's chaos. It teaches you that strength is not about destroying others. It is about refusing to let others destroy you. Power does not wait for permission, and it does not reward hesitation. In every environment, personal, social, or professional, the individuals who rise are not the ones who follow every rule, seek constant approval, or remain polite in moments that require firmness. Power gravitates toward those who move first, think fast, and act without trembling. Decisiveness creates momentum, and momentum creates influence. Politeness, when overused, becomes a silent prison that traps you in inaction and fear. You cannot gain ground while worrying about how your steps might be perceived. Power is seized, not requested. People are conditioned to believe politeness is a virtue in all circumstances. They are told to be accommodating, patient, and agreeable, even when those traits work against their interests. But politeness without strategy becomes a tool that others use to bend you. When you hesitate out of courtesy, someone else moves forward without hesitation. When you remain quiet out of respect, someone else speaks their truth and shapes the narrative. When you hold back your ambitions to avoid appearing selfish, someone else takes the opportunity you are waiting for. People rarely lose because they lack ability. Most of the time, they lose because they hesitate. Decisiveness is the opposite of hesitation. It is the ability to choose a direction instantly, even when your emotions are uncertain. This ability makes people powerful because it minimizes doubt and maximizes action. Every moment you spend overthinking is a moment someone else uses to outmaneuver you. The world is not kind to those who delay. Opportunities decay, people change, circumstances shift. Decisions that could have moved you forward become irrelevant because you waited too long. Acting decisively does not mean acting recklessly. It means acting when the moment demands it. It means trusting your judgment more than your fears. People respect decisiveness because it signals clarity, confidence, and control. When you make decisions quickly and stand by them, others start looking to you for direction. They see you as someone who shapes outcomes instead of reacting to them. This perception is powerful because it creates authority without needing a title. Authority is not given, it is recognized, and recognition comes from consistent action. When you act decisively, you project a sense of certainty that others naturally follow. Even if you are still learning, your willingness to make moves places you ahead of those who remain frozen in their thoughts. Politeness, on the other hand, trains you to prioritize others' comfort over your goals. It teaches you to soften your truth, to wait your turn, to avoid conflict, and to be agreeable even when it costs you. But power is rarely gained through conflict avoidance. Power is gained through the ability to step into uncomfortable spaces, to assert your position, and to make choices that others are too afraid to make. Being polite may make you liked, but being decisive makes you respected. And respect is far more valuable than approval. Decisive people understand that not every decision will be perfect, but even imperfect action produces movement. Movement reveals new information. New information reveals opportunities. Opportunities reveal pathways to power. Meanwhile, polite hesitation produces nothing but regret. The person who waits for a perfect moment ends up waiting forever because perfection is an illusion. The moment you act is the moment the world begins to shift in your favor. Action brings clarity, while overthinking brings paralysis. There is strength in taking control of your circumstances instead of letting circumstances control you. When you act decisively, you stop being a passive participant in your own life. You stop hoping for change and begin creating it. You stop relying on others to guide you and start guiding yourself. This transformation is profound because it changes the way people view you and the way you view yourself. Confidence grows each time you make a decision without apologizing for it. Self-respect grows each time you assert your needs without softening your voice. Power grows each time you choose action over fear. In a world full of people waiting for permission, the one who moves becomes the leader by default. Others look around for someone to follow, and they naturally gravitate toward the person who appears certain. Even if you are unsure internally, acting decisively makes you appear grounded externally. This appearance becomes reality over time. You train your mind to trust your instincts. You train your emotions to remain steady. You train your spirit to push through uncertainty. These qualities attract opportunities, alliances, and influence. Decisiveness also protects you from manipulation. When people see that you make your own choices without seeking validation, they realize they cannot control you. They stop testing your boundaries because they know you will enforce them. They stop underestimating you because your actions show them you are not afraid to move forward alone. When you hesitate, manipulators sense weakness. When you act decisively, they sense danger. The difference between being prey and being a player lies in your willingness to move with conviction. Power ultimately belongs to those who take responsibility for their lives. Not to those who wait, not to those who hope, and not to those who remain polite at the cost of their own progress. It belongs to those who understand that each moment is a battlefield where hesitation is defeat and action is victory. It belongs to those who make decisions without trembling, who step forward when others step back, and who carve their path instead of waiting for one to appear. Power is never held by the one who speaks the loudest, reveals the most, or exposes their desires openly. Power belongs to the one who operates behind a curtain of calmness, a controlled silence that hides their true objectives. When people cannot read you, they cannot predict you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot stop you. Masked intentions are the armor of the strong and the downfall of the naive. The world does not reward transparency, it rewards strategy. And strategy begins with understanding that every intention you reveal becomes a weapon that can be used against you. Most people make the mistake of showing their thoughts too early. They announce their plans, reveal their emotions, expose their fears, and make their goals visible to anyone who listens. They do this because they believe honesty is always noble. But honesty, when given to the wrong audience, becomes ammunition. People study what you reveal. They learn what motivates you, what scares you, what excites you. They learn what you want, and once they know that, they know exactly how to manipulate you. When someone can predict your desires, they can predict your moves. And when they can predict your moves, they can control the outcome. Masked intentions are not about lying, they are about selective truth. It is the art of revealing only what is useful to reveal and concealing everything that matters. It means you present a version of yourself that appears genuine yet keeps your deeper plans protected. You may show calmness while planning a move. You may show indifference while analyzing a threat. You may show agreement while strategizing your advantage. This is not deception. It is intelligence. It is emotional discipline. It is the understanding that your inner world is not a public domain. People who cannot control their expression become easy to read. Their emotions appear on their face. Their intentions leak through their words. Their desires spill out in moments of vulnerability. They speak too fast, react too quickly, and reveal too much. These are the individuals who become pawns in situations that require chess, like thinking. The player who hides their intentions wins not because they are cruel, but because they are unreadable. Unreadability is a form of power few understand, and even fewer master. Masked intentions also protect your mind. When you keep your plans private, you protect them from external negativity, judgment, or sabotage. People unconsciously project their fears onto your ambitions. They tell you what is risky, what is unrealistic, or what is impossible, not because they want to protect you, but because your ambition challenges their comfort. When your intentions are masked, your progress becomes silent. You move without interference. You advance without noise. You grow without attracting envy or resistance. Silence becomes your shield, and your results become your announcement. Those who master masked intentions also understand timing. They know that revealing too early weakens their position, but revealing at the right moment amplifies their influence. Timing determines power. When you speak only after you have secured your advantage, your words carry weight. When you act only after you have gathered information, your moves hit harder. When you reveal your final card only after others believe you have none, the impact is undeniable. Masked intentions give you control over timing because nothing forces you to rush, explain, or justify your directions. People trust the predictable and fear the unpredictable. When you become unpredictable, not through chaos, but through calculated calmness, you shift the balance of power in your favor. People lower their defenses around someone who appears simple, straightforward, or neutral. They reveal things to you because you reveal nothing to them. They underestimate you because they cannot read you. And underestimation is one of the greatest advantages you can possess. You are most powerful when people do not see your power until it is too late. Masked intentions require emotional discipline. You must learn to control what your face shows, what your voice reveals, and what your actions suggest. You must learn to sit in silence without rushing to fill it. You must learn to observe without reacting, to listen without exposing your internal responses. Emotional discipline is not coldness. It is mastery. It is the ability to separate your thoughts from your expressions, your intentions from your behavior, and your emotions from your strategy. To master masked intentions, you must also remove the need for validation. People who seek constant approval reveal too much because they want to be understood, accepted, and praised. They expose their desires hoping someone will support them. They reveal their struggles hoping someone will save them. But validation makes you dependent, and dependence weakens your ability to remain unreadable. When you validate yourself, you free yourself from the need to explain your steps to anyone. You move without permission, without fear, and without attachment to external reactions. Masked intentions transform you into a strategist. People stop seeing you as someone to control and begin seeing you as someone they must approach carefully. Your silence becomes a riddle. Your calmness becomes unpredictable. Your moves become difficult to anticipate. And when others cannot anticipate you, they cannot block you. Tell me when you want the full script with all keynotes included, or if you want any further expansions. Power is never granted to the patient, the polite, or the predictable. It belongs to those who understand human nature, control their emotions, and act with precision. You rise the moment you stop believing the world plays by the rules you were taught. Fairness becomes optional, kindness becomes selective, decisiveness becomes essential, and your intentions become guarded behind a calm mask. You learn that people respect boundaries backed by strength, not by hope. You learn that hesitation costs more than action. You learn that silence can be a stronger weapon than speech. And through this transformation, you evolve from someone shaped by circumstances into someone who shapes